What's going on, everyone? So, I think the Los Angeles Lakers should throw their hat in the ring for Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously, it depends on what you have to give up in order to land Jonathan Kuminga, but I really think in the right role, right situation, right circumstance, he could be a star. I mean, he showed the glimpses with the Golden State Warriors. The problem is that Golden State had him like all over the place. Like, he would go and give them like 25, and they would look to him to be kind of like the second guy out there. And then like 2 straight games, he'd get like DNPs. Like, and then next game he comes off the bench. And the next game he's starting. And then like they give him an inconsistent role and then get upset with him when he was inconsistent. And it's like, what do you expect? Now, look, I understand Jonathan Kuminga. He didn't do himself any favors. He kind of, be a little lackadaisical out there, take possessions off, not really be bought in defensively. He's 22 years old. He'll be 23 to start next season in October. Right? Like, he has a ton of upside, a ton of potential. He's already a guy that has proven that he could be a 20-point-a-game scorer in this league. He can play defense. He's a hyper athlete. He's the exact player the Lakers need. A guy that can score the basketball, shoot the basketball, defend at a high level, right? It's just getting him focused, locked in, and engaged. And Jonathan Kuminga, right now, the Warriors are kind of in this rock and a hard place because Jonathan Kuminga does not want to return to the Warriors, right? On top of that, they are having a hard time finding a sign and trade for him, and teams are starting to drop out. Phoenix already dropped out. A couple other teams are rumored to potentially be dropping out, and so they're having a hard time getting a trade done. They supposedly are signing DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford as soon as the Jonathan Kuminga thing kind of frees up and clears up. Jonathan Kuminga wants $30 million, right? It's a little rough because as good as he has shown, he hasn't shown the consistency to warrant $30 million. I think 20, 25 million, you might be thinking like Tyler, 25 million, 30 million, but that 5 million is the difference between you being an apron team or not. That 5 million is the difference between you being a lot, right? Like 5 million is a lot, right? Like by NBA standards, even. So I don't know how I'd feel about giving him 30 million. It would be a pretty hefty gamble, but I don't know, like if it pays off, Lakers look like geniuses. And I don't think he'll lose like trade value. Like let's say you do end up signing him and a year from now it's just not working. And it's just he's not what you want to be. There's always going to be that team that looks and goes like we can do better. Like he's a guy that is still young enough at 23, 24 years old. He's still good enough and young enough to be that. I mean, even as inconsistent as bad as he can be, he still was 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 45% from the floor. Still really good for game of basketball. Talk about a guy that's legit 6'7", 6'8". You can slot him in as your starting 3. Start him consistently. Right? And maybe you could pull something off to where, you're working on a sign and trade for Jonathan. But you're already hard kept at the first apron, so a sign and trade doesn't matter. Right? And go bring in Jonathan Kuminga. The question is, what do the Warriors want? Because, I'm not selling the farm for Jonathan Kuminga. Right? If it's like, hey, we'll give you Rui Hachimura, right? That gives you a guy that can slot in, shoot the basketball, score the basketball, slot in at either wing position for you, kind of give you, a more consistent Jonathan Kuminga, or like what you're looking for Kuminga to do, kind of give you a little more consistency. You'd still have to add in, I don't know, do they want a Maxi Kleba, right? Or Gabe Vincent, maybe? Especially if they're going to get DeAnthony Melton, then that might make things tough. But my point is, okay, can you basically put a package, if you told me Rui, Dalton Connect, and then whatever for a, Jonathan Kuminga, I wouldn't hate it. Right? Let's say it's Maxi Kleba, right? Let's say they're like, hey, we're going to get DeAnthony Melton, we're going to get Al Horford. We like a Maxi Kleba. Right, so you do, you land Kuminga, you do a Rui, Dalton Connect, and then that gets you 33 million or whatever, and then the Warriors send out, if you have to find a third team, you find a third team, whatever you have to do, right, is my point. You figure it out. Maybe it's just Rui and Connect going, and the Lakers are landing Kuminga and somebody else is landing Gabe Vincent. Maybe somebody throws a second. If you had to throw in some pick swaps or a second or whatever, sure. But I'm not trading my first, right? I wouldn't. It's good luck. Try to find another destination, or keep him and then watch him throw a tantrum because he has to be a Warrior, right? You think he's bad and checks out now, just wait, right? Like, so that's kind of my thoughts with that regard. If you can get him on a reasonable deal, free up roster spots, free up cap space. Again, it's kind of a risky move, but Lakers are going to have to take some risks at some point, especially in the new CBA. Like I mentioned, I don't think he's a guy that's going to lose his value. I don't think he's a guy that, you're going to have to pay somebody to take. He's young enough and talented enough and skilled enough to where I think he'll show that he'll still retain some level of trade value, is my point. Also, you're never going to get him more motivated than this season. And that's kind of what this year feels like, right? Kind of feels like the season of motivation. And I think Jonathan Kuminga slotting in with the Lakers would really help with that. Because you're going to have a Luka that's hungry, motivated, and wanting to prove himself. You're going to have a DeAndre Ayton who's hungry, motivated, and wants to prove himself. A Marcus Smart who's hungry, motivated, and wants to prove himself. Why not add in a Jonathan Kuminga? Why not bring in Kuminga and let him be another guy that's hungry, motivated, and wants to prove himself? Right? You'll probably never get a better Jonathan Kuminga than this year. But he's also everything this team needs. Everything. Young, athletic, versatile, 3-and-D, get you buckets. He's not, not the best 3-point shooter, but defensively, he can score the basketball, he can play off ball, on ball, he's athletic, he can be a lob threat for Luka. Like, he's a guy that has a ton of versatility that I would love to see the Lakers get. I mean, look, you can look at it like this, like, your starting five in a couple years could be, potentially, if it works out, Luka, Bronny, Jonathan Kuminga, Adu Thero, or Kuminga on the other wing, doesn't matter, and then DeAndre. And that could be your starting five literally for the next 6 to 8 years. Right? Like, and have the defense and the offense and the versatility and the switchability and, Jonathan Kuminga's ability, especially if Jonathan Kuminga does become a star, which he's shown, again, he has shown star potential. He has shown the ability. I mean, that guy's gone off and had, 30-point nights, 25-point nights, scores 20 regularly. And that's with inconsistency. That's with, having DMPs or nights where he's only getting 12 minutes of action or whatever. Like, again, he's not a perfect player, but he's 22 years old, or will be 22 years old, right? Like, or he is 22. He'll be 23 in October, right? So, again, he's a kid. He's a year older than the draft guy we just got. Like, he's young enough to have been drafted in this year's draft, but he's already proven. He's already had a couple years under his belt. He's had playoff runs. He's been in the finals, right? Like, he's a guy that, at least he has more experience now than most guys do. And they're for somebody that keeps regularly leaning into him, and then it's hard to find consistency when you're not given consistency. It's hard to be consistent when you're never allowed to have any form of consistency. And I think if Jonathan Kuminga, if you went and got Jonathan Kuminga and you're like, hey, this is what we're looking for you to do. We want you to slot in. You're going to be our starting three. We need you to rebound, defend, do the dirty work, make the hustle plays, shoot the basketball, score the basketball. You're going to have times where you do get the ball and you do get to go get buckets and you do get to kind of be you. But when you're not getting those opportunities, you need to be buying in and doing the other things. We need you to be the best defensive player on this starting unit. We need you to take pride, buy in. Right? Like, again, maybe he does it because he needs to prove himself. Right? And then all of a sudden you end up becoming the team that everyone goes, wow, I can't believe that. Again, it just depends on what the Warriors are willing to kind of budge in order to get off of them, but they might not have a choice at this point. Right? Like, that's the thing. He does not want to go back to the Warriors, right? So does he hold out? Like, it could get messy. It could get messy quick. But let's go over kind of what he's done. Let's go over the numbers, right? 47 games played, 10 games started, 24.3 minutes per game, which was, again, down from the previous year. He got 12.1 field goal attempts per game, shot 45.4% from the field. Now, 3-point shooting. Did not shoot great last season. On 3.2 attempts was 30.5%. That is awful. No way around it. That is awful. But he did shoot 37% on 2.2 attempts in 2022-2023. If he can get back to that next year, got to keep in mind, he's going to be playing alongside Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, right? So the quality of looks that he's going to get are just better than what he's getting even on the Warriors, right? Like, he's going to be able to just get wide open looks. So can he get back up at least next year. Again, he's a kid. Let him develop, right? But can he kind of get back up to that 36, 37% range? That would be fantastic. 51%, which is actually the lowest of his career from 2-point range on 9 attempts. Previous years were 58%, 59%, and then 60%, 59.8%. EFG of 49.5%, which again was the lowest of his career. Free throw shooting, 66.8%, which again was not his best. He's a career 70% guy. He was 74.6% the year prior. 4.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, a steal, half a block, and 15.3 points. His best season was the year prior, again, in which he averaged 16.1 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and half a block. So yes, that was his best season. You look at his per 36. Again, per 36 doesn't tell you everything, but it kind of gives you an idea. 22.6 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, and a block. If you can go get Jonathan Kuminga, go get Jonathan Kuminga. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.